The father who learned sign language. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, there lived a man named Thomas. He was a carpenter by trade, a craftsman whose hands bore the marks of years spent shaping wood into beauty and purpose. His life was simple, shaped by daily routines, the gentle rhythm of work, and the laughter of his young daughter, Lily. Thomas adored Lily. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, her smile was the dawn that brightened his every morning, and her questions filled their modest home with an endless sense of wonder. Lily, from her first breath, had always been different. She did not cry like other babies. When the world startled her, she would not flinch at sudden sounds but would gaze, wide-eyed, at the shifting patterns of light on the ceiling. As she grew, Thomas and his wife, Mary, noticed that she was not responding to their voices. She would giggle at funny faces and reach for things that caught the sun, but she did not turn her head when someone called her name. A visit to the doctor confirmed their suspicions. Lily was profoundly deaf. The news came like a silent storm. Mary wept openly, and Thomas felt as though an invisible wall had been erected between him and his beloved daughter, a barrier made of silence, impossible to tear down with his strong, call-used hands. But love, as Thomas would come to learn, is not defeated by silence. At first, Thomas struggled. He would call out to Lily, only to remember she could not hear. He would try to explain things, to tell her stories, and she would only watch his lips, puzzled. There were moments of frustration, of helplessness, times when he would retreat to his workshop and let the ache in his heart echo in the hollowed wood he carved. He felt as if he had failed her, as if he could never truly reach her. One evening, as the sun set and painted the world in gold, Thomas watched Lily in the garden. She was playing with a butterfly, her face alight with joy. He realized that, though she could not hear the world, she experienced it in her own vibrant way, through touch, sight, and the unspoken language of love. Watching her, Thomas resolved to bridge the silence that separated them. He enrolled in a sign language course at the local community center. The first class was a humbling experience. His fingers, so adept at chiseling wood, fumbled over the simplest gestures. He practiced late into the night, stumbling through the alphabet, learning to form words with his hands instead of his voice. At times, frustration bubbled up. Why was it so hard to remember the signs? Why did his hands feel so clumsy? But then he would picture Lily's face, her gentle smile, and the frustration would melt into determination. Slowly, progress came. Thomas learned how to say, "I love you," in sign language, how to ask, "Are you hungry?" and "Do you want to play?" Each new sign was a tiny victory, a step closer to his daughter. He began to communicate with Lily, first in halting gestures, then with growing confidence. Lily's eyes would widen with delight as she realized what her father was doing. She began to teach him, correcting his fingers, showing him new signs. Their bond deepened, forged in the shared language of hands and hearts. Mary, too, learned sign language. The family found new ways to laugh together, to share stories, to express joy and comfort. Thomas would recount tales of his childhood in signs, watching as Lily's imagination lit up with every gesture. He taught her to build birdhouses, showing her how to use the tools and explaining each step with his hands. Lily blossomed, her world expanding with the love and effort of her family. In the wider world, Thomas became an advocate for accessibility and inclusion. He volunteered at Lily's school, helping other parents learn sign language. He built ramps for the playground, ensuring that all children could play together. He spoke at community meetings, sharing his journey and encouraging others to see the strength in their differences. His workshop became a haven, not just for woodwork, but for connection, a place where silence was not an absence, but a canvas for understanding. Years passed, and Lily grew into a confident young woman. She excelled in her studies, made friends, and dreamed of traveling the world. On the day of her high school graduation, Thomas sat in the audience, his heart swelling with pride. When Lily took the stage to give her speech, she signed her words, and her father's hands moved with hers, echoing her message. The audience watched, awed by the silent conversation between father and daughter, witnessing the power of love to transcend barriers. In the years that followed, Thomas and Lily's story inspired countless others. Their journey was a testament to the strength of family, the power of persistence, and the beauty of embracing differences. Thomas learned that communication is not just about words or sounds, but about the willingness to reach out, to learn, and to connect in any way possible. The lesson Thomas carried with him was simple yet profound: love speaks in many languages. Sometimes, it is the language of hands shaping wood, of fingers tracing words in the air, of silent laughter shared beneath the stars. It is the language of patience, of never giving up, of crossing the distance between hearts. And so, in a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, the carpenter who once felt powerless in the face of silence became a bridge, a living proof that when we open our hearts and minds, no barrier is insurmountable. The story of Thomas and Lily reminds us all that the greatest acts of love are not always grand gestures, but the everyday choices to understand, to adapt, and to reach out across the silence. Let this story linger in your heart, a gentle reminder that the most meaningful connections are forged not by perfection, but by the courage to keep trying, to keep learning, and to never let anything, least of all silence, dull the brilliance of love. In the days that followed Lily's graduation, the family celebrated with a quiet dinner in their backyard. Fireflies danced in the warm summer air, and laughter, silent and spoken, filled the night. Thomas watched his daughter, marveling at her confidence, her resilience, and her joy. He realized that their journey had changed him in ways he could never have imagined. He was no longer just a carpenter, he was a father who had learned to listen with his eyes, to speak with his hands, and to love without limits. The lessons he learned spilled out into every aspect of his life. He became more patient, more empathetic, more attuned to the unspoken needs of others. He found beauty in the smallest details, the way sunlight caught on Lily's hair, the softness of her touch, the quiet strength in her gaze. He understood that true communication was not about being heard, but about making the effort to understand. As Lily prepared to leave for college, Thomas felt the familiar ache of parting. He worried about the challenges she would face, the obstacles that lay ahead. But he also knew that she was ready, that the love and support of her family had given her the tools to thrive. On the morning of her departure, Lily hugged her father tightly. Their hands moved in a silent exchange, saying all the things words could never capture. Thomas stood at the gate, watching as Lily walked away. He felt a surge of pride, a sense of fulfillment that came from knowing he had given his daughter not just a language, but the confidence to embrace the world on her own terms. In the years that followed, Thomas continued to volunteer, to teach, and to share his story. He met other families facing similar challenges, offering them hope and encouragement. He saw the ripple effect of his efforts, the way one act of love could inspire others to bridge their own divides, to reach across barriers, and to build connections that transcended words. The legacy of Thomas and Lily lives on in every family who learns to communicate, in every child who finds their voice, whether spoken or signed, in every heart that refuses to let silence define their story. Their journey is a testament to the enduring power of love, the strength of determination, and the beauty of embracing our differences. So, as you reflect on the story of the father who learned sign language, remember that the greatest lessons are often found in the quiet moments, in the gentle persistence of a parent's love, in the unwavering belief that every child deserves to be seen, heard, and understood. Let this story inspire you to reach out, to learn something new, to break down the barriers that separate us, and to always, always choose love. And in the end, perhaps that is the deepest lesson of all, that love, expressed in any language, has the power to change lives, to heal wounds, and to turn silence into the sweetest song.